All right, so let's get started on the TypeScript conversion. And I'm going to pull up the TypeScript Webpack guide. So it's been a while since I've done this. I usually set up a TypeScript project using TSC or TypeScript directly these days. But here I want to use Webpack. So we're going to follow this guide. And what we'll do, let me just jump into the chatbot file here and zoom in a little bit, just make sure we have the font size correct. And now what we want to do is we want to follow this guide and see if we can't get it to upgrade to TypeScript. So let's see, what's the first step? Well, we need to install TypeScript and the TS loader. So we'll grab that, we'll head over, we'll open our command line, and I already have a branch here. So I branched out just so I don't accidentally commit something to the master branch. Eventually I'll move it all over, but for now it's just sitting in this general improvements branch. If you're new to TypeScript, that's something that I've come to love actually, and it's basically writing code with the rails up on. If you're bowling, you know, you have the rails up on the side. It's kind of like writing code with that, because you write better code, you write more maintainable code, and you get some really nice autocomplete in your editor, which makes it easier to keep an overview over what you're doing, and it makes it easier to work with. And your code is more robust. So for me, it's a win-win situation. For small projects, maybe I wouldn't use it. For large projects, definitely I would use TypeScript every single day. So I installed the TypeScript and the TS loader. And now we're going to create a TS config. And we'll grab the compiler options. So let's go ahead and create at the workspace root a tsconfig.json. I have this file down here, and I'll paste in the compiler options. So the out tier, I think I'm going to keep that as build, just because that's what I've been using so far. Allow.js, true, no implicit any. Okay, that's all fine. Let's see. Now we need to work a little bit with the TS config. Sorry, Webpack config. Right. So what we'll do, we'll just grab that for now. And let's go ahead and grab this file here, and we'll say index.ts. And we'll head over to the Webpack config. And here we have rules for JSX, and we're using the Babel loader. Right. So let's go ahead and just paste in this here. And we need to change our entry to index.ts. And we want to set a rule set for the TSX files. And we'll add that in here. And then it's not only going to be TSX, it's going to handle JS and JSX as well. So we'll remove the Babel loader here. Let's make sure we only have one rule section. Move this. And then we're going to resolve TSX as an extension as well. Okay. So now let's see what's left of this guide. So basically now it's just more advanced options. So let's see where we're at. If we try this out, we'll run npm run build to make sure that our build setup from the guide is working. And then once we have that confirmed, we can start using the Typescript language to our advantage. And we can see here that the build was successful. Great stuff. So now what I want to do is focus on converting this to Typescript bit by bit. All right, so now we can start converting our files to Typescript. And we'll do that by changing the extension here from JSX to TSX. And now you can see we get red squiggly lines underneath our props. And that is because now this file is expected to have type information. So the TypeScript compiler now is telling us that something is wrong, you haven't provided me with types here. So we have quite a large job in front of us creating the different types for the chatbot, but we'll start here. And for some of them, we are going to tackle it later, and we'll give it any for now, which is an anti-pattern, but we'll focus on a few different pieces here, just so it doesn't get out of hand. So we'll say config is going to be any header text, and that's going to be string, and placeholder text is going to be a string as well. Save messages is going to be a function, and that's going to return any, and it's going to take a messages ref current. All right, so let's say ref any for now, and we'll have a message history, and that's going to be a function as well, and we'll have a validator. That's going to be a function that's going to return a boolean, and it's going to take in a input argument, and it's going to be a string. So now we have our interface here, and we'll give that to the chatbot. So basically what we've done is we've defined these properties, and we've said that they are going to be of this form. So some of these have any, which we are going to change, but we want to just make sure that we change some parts at a time. So let's go ahead and fix the config here first. And we'll do that by creating a new folder here called interfaces. And here we'll put a iconfig.ts. And we'll say interface iconfig. And that's going to be the TypeScript representation of our entire configuration. So we'll head back and just take a look at the configuration here. You can see it on the left-hand side. We have a lot of properties, and we need to type out all of this information. So let's go ahead and open up this gist here, and it's going to give us a full-blown config here with all of the different options, and we're going to copy that, and we'll put it underneath here, and then we'll use that just to help us remember what we need to type. So first up, we have the bot name. That's going to be a string. It's optional. And then we have initial messages, and that's going to be an array of chatbot messages. So we need another type here. And the create chatbot message, let's go ahead and take a look at the function inside of utils. And that creates a object of this form. So message is string, type is string, and unique ID is a number. So we're going to go back to our iConfig, create a new file, and we'll copy over our interface here. And it's going to be message, string, ID, number, and type string. Let's go ahead and check that we got that correct in at utils. Create chatbot message. And then we have an options object and loading as well. Right. So we're going to say loading is a Boolean and options is any for now. And then we'll say export default iChatbot message. And in our config, we'll say that we import iChatbot message from this file, and initial messages is going to be an array of iChatbot message. Like that. That takes care of these two. And let's see, widget and delay. We'll go ahead and add that to the options here. Interface, I option. Widget, that's going to be string, and delay is going to be a number. And we'll say that options is I options. And it's going to be optional. The other properties here are expected to be required. So let's remove this. Now we have a property called state, and that is going to be any because that is going to be user defined. So a user can define any piece of state to put in here, and it will be injected into the internal chatbot state. And then we have the custom components, and that is expected to be an object that has these following optional functions. So we need to create that as well. So we'll say interface iCustom components, and we'll say header is a function that returns a JSX element. And we're going to import JSX from React. And we'll say that bot avatar is the same thing. And say props any. And we'll say bot chat message is going to have the same shape. User avatar, same shape. and user chat message. Same shape. So that takes care of the custom components. Just need to add that here as a iCustom component. And now we need custom styles. So we'll create an interface for that. And that's going to be bot message box, the I bot message box, and chat button. Or they're both the same. Let's say I background color. The interface I background color is an object that has background color string. And we'll add that to our config object. So that's done. And now we need to add our widgets. So widgets are going to be iWidget, and that's going to be an array. So we'll need to create the interface for a widget, and we'll create it here now, but it probably won't live here. So let's see, we have a widget name, which is a string. We have a widget func, which is a function that takes props and returns a JSX element. We have a props, which is going to be any. And we have a map state to props, which is going to be strings. And that's going to be an array of strings. So we remove that. Now we have our widget. And we'll give that its own file as well. We'll import JSX from React, and we'll export this interface. And in our config now, we need to import from iWidget. And we'll do export default iConfig. So if we head back to chatbot.tsx, we'll import the iConfig from the interfaces iConfig, and then we'll use it in our chatbot props here. All right, so as you can see now, really nice autocomplete on our config here. Let's just keep going. We need to do a couple more things. Inside of here, everything is going to be optional except for the initial messages. Inside of our chatbot.tsx, we still have some errors, I believe. So rev state implicitly has any type. All right, we'll give that any for now. And we'll say here we have a widget, and that's an iWidget. So we're going to import that and make sure that we put the interfaces together. And now let's see what happens if we try building our project again. So what we're doing is just giving information about all of our properties and what kind of different types they have. And it seems like we have a problem. So let's go ahead and see what this error is. And it says right here, cannot find module React. And that's because we are using Typescript, but we haven't imported React's types. So in order to get this build to pass, we need to give Typescript the types for the framework that we are using. So if you open up your browser, you go to npm and you navigate to @types_react. Then you should be able to grab this and go back to your editor. And if we paste this in here and we're going to change save to save dev, that's going to install the React types that we need. Now, I think we also need to change a little bit inside of here. I think this is wrong. I think we need to use React element here. And we'll do that for now. And then we'll adjust later if we see that that's necessary. And then we'll do the same thing here, React element. And we'll change this to return a React element type. Now I'm going to run npm run build again. And hopefully that will solve our problems now, because we are using the correct types. So let's give that just a second to compile. And you can see that it passed, which is great. So this gives us a really good foundation. Now, we haven't done all of the converting. We haven't done all of the types. We've been a little bit sloppy with any's that need to be resolved once we convert everything, but this is a really good start. And for now, I think I'm going to stop this video, and I think I'm going to turn to something else in the next one, because I have a few features in mind that I also want to implement. And then I'll do another stab at the TypeScript conversion at a later date. But thanks for tuning in, and in the next video I'm going to start on some of the features that I want to implement in this package. So hopefully if you found this useful, I'll see you there, and have a great day.